All right. Let's get those appetites going. Today we're doing a deep dive into a dish that's total comfort food.
Oh,
Creamy
yeah.
Chicken Alfredo pasta.
I love it.
You sent us your recipe, and we're excited to kind of break it down with you.
Yeah, I am really intrigued by this recipe. It takes ingredients we all know and love,
Right.
and then elevates them through technique,
Mm.
and it's a good reminder that even simple dishes can be extraordinary
Right.
when we understand the how and why behind each step.
I love that.
Yeah.
Okay, so the recipe starts with fettuccine,
Classic.
which is pretty standard for Alfredo.
Yeah,
And you're instructed to cook it al dente.
right.
Could you break down what that means and
Sure.
why it matters for this dish?
Al dente literally translates to the tooth in Italian.
Huh.
And it means cooking the pasta until it's firm to the bite.
Okay.
Not mushy.
Got it.
This is really important for Alfredo because you want the pasta to hold its shape
Yeah,
and provide a textural counterpoint to the creamy sauce.
makes sense.
Overcooked pasta will just turn into a sticky mess.
So no one wants a sad, soggy noodle situation.
No.
Got it. Now on to the chicken.
Okay.
This recipe calls for a pretty straightforward seasoning blend. Garlic powder,
Yep.
Italian seasoning, salt and pepper.
The classics.
Is there anything else we could add to make it even more interesting?
Simplicity can be beautiful.
Oh, true.
Especially when you're working with good quality ingredients.
Right.
Those seasonings highlight the chicken's natural flavor without going overboard.
Yeah.
But if you are looking for a little more depth,
Okay.
a touch of paprika,
Ooh.
or even a squeeze of lemon juice
Interesting.
could add some subtle layers of complexity.
I like it.
Paprika adds a hint of smokiness,
Yeah.
while the lemon just brightens things up.
Okay, those are great suggestions.
Yes.
The recipe says to cook the chicken in olive oil over medium-high heat until it's golden brown.
Yes.
I'm assuming that lovely golden crust is a sign that something delicious is happening.
Absolutely. That browning is the Maillard reaction
yeah.
in action.
I've heard of that.
It's a chemical process that creates hundreds of flavor compounds.
Wow.
It's what gives cooked food that irresistible aroma
Yeah,
and deep flavor.
it's true.
Plus, that gorgeous crust adds a satisfying textural element to the dish.
Okay, so we're creating flavor
Uh-huh.
and texture.
You got it.
Now, once the chicken is cooked,
Yeah.
it rests before being sliced.
Mm-hmm.
And then we move on to the heart of the dish,
There we go.
the Alfredo
Oh,
sauce.
right.
What makes a truly exceptional Alfredo sauce?
It's all about achieving that balance
Okay.
of richness, creaminess, and flavor.
Yeah,
It shouldn't be too heavy or bland,
yeah,
but rather a harmonious blend where each ingredient can shine through.
makes sense.
It's also important to understand the science behind the sauce, particularly the idea of emulsification.
Emulsification. Now, that sounds kind of complicated.
It's actually simpler than it sounds.
Okay, good.
Essentially, emulsification is the process of combining two liquids that don't usually mix well,
Like what?
like fat and water.
Oh,
In Alfredo sauce, the fat from the butter and cheese needs to be evenly dispersed throughout the water-based milk and cream.
interesting.
This creates a smooth, velvety texture that keeps the sauce from separating.
So it's like a preemie dance
Aha, yeah.
between fat and water.
Exactly.
I like it.
And the key to a stable emulsion is to add the ingredients slowly
Okay,
and whisk constantly.
got it.
That makes sure the fat molecules are evenly distributed,
Right.
creating that luxurious, homogeneous texture
Yes.
that we associate with a perfect Alfredo sauce.
So we're whisking our way to culinary perfection.
Yes.
I love it. Now, this recipe starts the sauce by melting butter.
Right.
Is that the foundation of that richness we were talking about?
Precisely. Butter adds a beautiful richness and silky mouthfeel to the sauce.
Mm.
It also acts as the initial fat component in our emulsion that we're building. And then we add the garlic.
All right.
It's sautéed in the butter,
Makes sense.
which not only infuses the butter with that amazing garlicky aroma,
Right.
but also helps mellow out the garlic's sharpness.
So it's not just about flavor. It's
Uh-huh.
about creating layers of complexity
Yeah,
within that aroma.
exactly. Now, after the garlic,
Okay.
the recipe says to add the heavy cream
Uh-huh.
and milk.
Now, you might be wondering why both.
You read my mind.
I was just about to ask that.
Haha.
It seems like heavy cream alone
Right.
would make it plenty rich.
Well, you're right. Heavy cream does make it rich.
Okay.
But using both cream and milk
Hmm?
makes for a smoother, more balanced sauce.
Interesting.
Heavy cream alone can sometimes be a little thick and heavy.
Too rich
Yeah.
for its own good.
Well, milk lightens things up without sacrificing the creaminess.
It's all about that balance, like we were
Yeah.
talking about before.
Absolutely. And now comes the star ingredient.
Ooh.
The ingredient that gives Alfredo sauce its name
Okay.
and its iconic cheesy flavor.
You talk about Parmesan?
Parmesan cheese, yes. And this recipe is very specific
Okay.
about using freshly grated Parmesan.
Hmm.
Now, I gotta admit,
Yeah.
sometimes I'm guilty of using that green can
Oh, yeah.
of pre-grated cheese.
Totally.
Isn't really that big a deal.
Okay.
It makes a huge difference, trust me.
Okay.
Freshly grated Parmesan has a much more intense nutty flavor
Yeah.
and a nice granular texture that
Mm.
melts beautifully into the sauce.
Okay.
Pre-grated cheese often contains cellulose,
I've heard of that.
which is an anti-caking agent
Oh, right.
that prevents it from melting smoothly
Huh.
and can sometimes make the sauce grainy.
So we got to go for the real deal. You
Yeah,
want that silky, smooth,
right.
melt-in-your-mouth experience.
Precisely.
True.
Now, the recipe also suggests adding a pinch of nutmeg
Nutmeg.
in Alfredo sauce.
It might seem a little strange,
Yeah,
but it actually plays a key role in enhancing the flavor.
okay. I'm intrigued. Nutmeg has this warm, slightly sweet,
Okay.
and almost spicy flavor
Interesting.
that adds a subtle complexity to creamy sauces.
Gotcha.
It doesn't stand out on its own,
Right.
but it works its magic in the background,
Yeah.
rounding out the other flavors
Okay.
and creating a more nuanced taste.
It's like that secret ingredient that no one knows is there,
Right.
but it makes all the difference.
Exactly. Now,
Huh.
once the cheese and nutmeg are mixed in,
Mm-hmm.
you simmer the sauce until it thickens.
Okay.
This is where the emulsification we talked about earlier
Right.
really kicks in.
Got it.
The heat helps melt the cheese and butter,
Makes sense.
allowing them to combine with the milk and cream,
Uh-huh.
create that nice, smooth, velvety texture.
This sounds like a delicate dancer
It
of
is.
heat ingredients and technique.
You got it.
No wonder a good Alfredo sauce is so prized.
It's a true art form.
I agree.
And once the sauce is ready,
Here we go.
it's time to bring it all together.
Yeah.
The cooked pasta gets tossed in the sauce
All right.
so that every strand is coated
Mm.
with that cheesy goodness.
Okay, I'm drooling already.
And then the final touch,
What's that?
those beautiful slices of golden brown chicken
Oh, yeah.
are placed on top,
Okay.
along with a sprinkle of fresh parsley.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, more Parmesan.
You never have too much cheese, right?
Exactly. This dish is all about indulgence.
Boy,
It's a visual feast
right.
as well as a culinary one.
And you know what else I love about this recipe?
What's that?
It's so versatile.
Yeah.
You could easily add other ingredients
Uh-huh.
to customize it,
Absolutely.
like maybe sautéed mushrooms.
That'd be great. Or spinach.
Yeah. Or you could go bolder
Okay.
with roasted red peppers
Ooh.
or sun-dried
Those
tomatoes.
are good ideas.
Ooh. Or even some crispy bacon bits.
Oh, man.
The possibilities are endless.
Exactly. And that's what makes cooking so fun.
Right.
You can take a basic recipe.
And make it your own
Uh-huh.
by experimenting with different flavors and textures.
It's all about exploring.
Right.
Finding what you enjoy.
Well said. Speaking of exploring, I
Yeah.
think we've covered just about everything
Mm-hmm.
on this deep dive into creamy chicken Alfredo pasta.
It's been a delicious journey.
It really has.
But before we wrap up,
Okay.
is there anything else you want to add?
Well, just we'd love to hear from you.
Oh, yeah.
Did you try this recipe?
Yeah, did you try any variations?
We want to hear all about your Alfredo adventures
Yes, please share your creations with us.
on our social media pages
Uh-huh.
or visit our website at...
www.forganfry.com.
That's right.
It's full of recipes and tips and inspiration for food lovers.
Of all levels.
Exactly.
And if you have any questions
Yeah.
or want to dive deeper into any of the techniques we talked about today,
Mm-hmm.
feel free to reach out
Yeah, we're always happy to help.
on your culinary journey.
Absolutely.
So whether you're a seasoned chef
Mm-mm.
or just starting out,
Yeah,
this creamy chicken Alfredo pasta is a must-try.
you gotta try it.
It's a classic for a reason.
It is.
Comforting, flavorful, and surprisingly easy to make.
And remember, cooking should be a joyful experience.
Yes.
Don't be afraid to experiment. Add your own personal touches.
Make it your own.
And most importantly, enjoy the process.
Well said.
Thanks.
Thanks for joining us on this delicious deep dive into
Yeah.
creamy chicken Alfredo pasta.
It's been fun.
We hope you learned something new
Uh-huh.
and feel inspired to create your own Alfredo masterpiece.
Until next time, happy cooking.
And bon appetit.